Welcome to the latest Insurtech UK Fireside Chat. My name's Matt Hodges-Long. I'm the CEO and founder of Track My Risks and one of the Insurtech UK Council members. I'm joined today by John Snade and Charlotte Gregory from renowned law firm Browne Jacobson. Welcome to the Fireside Chat.
Thanks very much.
No problem. So can you start off by telling us a little bit about Browne Jacobson for those watching that haven't heard of you or maybe unsure about exactly what you guys do?
Yeah, sure. We are a national law firm. We have 5 offices in the UK. Charlotte and I are both based in our London office. We also have offices in Birmingham, Nottingham, Exeter and Manchester. We're a full service law firm and we specialise in advising businesses, so early stage startups, SMEs, large corporates and entrepreneurs and high net worths on their corporate and business and personal affairs.
Fantastic. What do you do then, Charlotte?
I sit within our financial and professional risks team, which is a team that effectively services a variety of clients in the insurance sector, from startups right the way through to SMEs, intermediaries and large insurers, composites and syndicates.
Fantastic. So you've got the sort of broad range of skills there amongst you, so that's brilliant. And what attracted you to becoming partners of Insurtech UK? What was it about the Insurtech UK proposition that attracted you?
I think it was an obvious fit for us. I think all the work that we have been doing for early stage startups in the Insurtech space, which we've been doing an increasing amount of anyway over the last 3 years or so, a lot of that coming out of our startup support program Grow. We obviously act for insurers as well and have a good strength. I mean, that's one of our historic strengths as a law firm, the insurance sector, and wider work with venture capital firms that we advise. I'm a corporate partner, so I spend a lot of my time advising on the venture capital transactions from the startup perspective, also from the investor perspective. So it just seems an obvious environment where we could bring all those areas of specialism, expertise, contributions and collaborate with some really exciting companies, other member firms and provide our expertise and share our knowledge.
And I think that collaboration point is actually a really important one from us as a firm. Insurtech UK, that's exactly what they are looking to do to aid that collaboration between the incumbent insurance sector and the Insurtech space. And we as a firm across our different disciplines have a strong focus on that. So the synergies were quite apparent for us, really.
Brilliant. Because you recently spoke at our Legal Survival Guide event, which was great, where we had 3 law firms, including yourselves, all working together and sharing the stage and helping the members, which I thought was fantastic. And it was lovely to see that sort of collaboration, not only with our members, but also with people that could be perceived as being competitors. So that was great. So thank you for supporting that. That was really good. So we talked earlier about, or before we came on air, about Grow, because I was excited about that, obviously being a startup founder myself and working in an area of helping companies manage governance, risk and compliance. It's sort of very dear to me, the fact of how law sits in with that and regulation sits within the R of GRC. And so how practically would Grow help an Insurtech UK member of sort of early stage company, and what would you do to help them? And is it about telling them what not to do as well as what to do and timing, and talk us through it?
I think with Grow itself, one of the key things which we think is quite unique actually across our sector is the ability to have a Grow advisor, which is someone such as myself who an Insurtech UK member can pick the phone up to run a query past. Any of those initial conversations is something that we wouldn't charge for. But I then really also act as an internal broker. Risks can be quite complex. There are a variety of disciplines that come within that. For example, financial services regulation, corporate elements, IP, employment. And I really then act as a spokesperson for that member to go to the business and say, okay, what are the priorities? Which order do we need to have this advice on, to be able to give the member that clarity really around what's required for their roadmap to help the business grow.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I would just add as well, I think when there are specific deliverables, whether that's a fundraising or complex legal advice, there's the transparency in terms of delivering that on fixed fees, which again is part of the way we work with startups. that's obviously very important for startup entrepreneurs, Insurtech space or otherwise, where the need to be able to know what your legal budget and legal spend is obviously very important.
I think from what I've seen, the rate of growth of some of the companies, that the thing that you could sort of put off at the moment at the start, within 3 to 6 months could become critically important, or could be a blocker just because of the rate of growth. And you've now stepped over into a different area of regulation, or the amount of money you're raising has changed, or whatever it is you're doing, and then all of a sudden it takes you 3 months to solve that problem. You should have started 3 months earlier, but who's there to tell you? So I think that's really useful to have that sort of ongoing sounding board, just to validate your own thinking or understanding the scenarios.
And just building up that relationship with your advisor, whether that's a lawyer or any other advisor. Just continuing that dialogue, I think, is really important, and just taking away the fear factor, I think, of law firms running their clocks the minute you pick up the phone. I think helps that dialogue. It encourages clients to treat their advisors as trusted partners and use them as sounding boards. So again, I think I would agree it's very important.
Good. So from a legal perspective, and relating that to Insurtech and insurance, what are the headwinds that you can see coming, or are actually here already, in terms of what's taking up people's time and legal attention at the moment? What are the themes that you can give us an idea of?
I'd say the recent FCA changes to how it regulates businesses, the Senior Managers and Certification Regime, or SMCR. We all love an acronym in insurance, and that's another one of them that's been here with us since the 9th of December last year officially, so it's already upon us. For Insurtech UK members, that may or may not affect their business directly, depending on how they provide services to consumers, or whether they are simply a tech company, for example, that provides a service to insurer. But it's something, I think, to have in your mind's eye, even if you aren't a regulated entity, because if your business is successful and you want to, for example, then go on to have your own FCA authorisation, that's something that you will need to look into. And again, just thinking about that road mapping and looking ahead, that's definitely something that's also with us at the moment from an insurance point of view.
Brilliant.
Also, just from my employment colleagues, something that's quite topical in their sector at the moment is IR35, which is something that's actually been around for a while, but there is going to be a legislation change from April of this year, which actually puts the impetus on the end client as to work out whether an individual is a worker or an employee. And again, it's something that may or may not be relevant to members depending on the size of their business. But it's worth just bearing in mind. And also just from a business sense, if startups are trying to work with established corporates, whether it be from an SMCR perspective, employment, or anything else for that matter, those are things that are on the horizon for your counterparts, even if not for yourself. So again, things that we can do to assist in terms of webinars, regular updates and things that are often on our website are often helpful for members, just to have that bird's eye view of the legal landscape.
I think from what I've seen from personal experience and from other friends and colleagues is that scrutiny of sort of supplier due diligence that you'll go through as soon as you start working with a larger company, especially if you're working with a bank or a large insurer. The long list of difficult questions, and the fact that even if they don't apply, you need to sort of be able to respond and say, this is why this question doesn't apply. And quite often with this sort of minutiae of modern slavery or IR35, then all of a sudden it can be beyond the sort of the skill of most company founders, and that's where they might need some assistance.
And that's a frustration that we see quite commonly as between the perhaps sometimes the tensions between an insurer, a client and a startup. But I think it's worth bearing in mind for both parties that there are obviously quite heavily regulatory environments that we're operating in. There will be different pressures on an incumbent as opposed to a startup. Equally, startups don't have the benefit of their own in-house counsel, which more established players may well have. So it's just things like that, really, to try and have that perspective, taking a step back, seeing where your counterpart is coming from, really. Especially, there are lots of things that are quite topical at the moment within the insurance sector in terms of profitability, and if you're in the Lloyd's space, how syndicates are being regulated by Lloyd's and indeed by the FCA. So again, really important just to stay on top of the wider insurance press.
Yeah, fantastic. And one of the other things that comes up, not as often as we might like in this sector, but probably more your sort of angle, John, is around M&A activity. And what are your views on looking ahead, maybe the next 12, 18 months in terms of M&A activity within the Insurtech space? Are you seeing the wind changing, or what's your personal view on what might happen?
Yeah, I think from a personal perspective, based on the corporate transactions we're seeing at the moment, I expect there to be more M&A activity in the Insurtech space. The incumbents, other larger players looking to acquire the earlier stage Insurtech companies, particularly as 3 years ago, 4 years ago, there weren't half as many Insurtechs in London or the country as they are today. The space has really exploded and taken off. It's become its own, as we all know, through Insurtech UK, its own space, separate and distinct to fintech, which was the traditional, if you like, lead sector in the tech sector in London. Those early stage players now, the Insurtechs are becoming much more mature. They're raising more venture capital money. They're doing larger and larger rounds. Just over recent weeks, we've seen Consiris announce a large round. Lacquer's done another round. They are becoming more and more established, and I think they're coming at the time where they're ripe for acquisition. Not those companies particularly, but just generally.
No, I guess generally across the sector there will have to be a realisation of value at some point from some of those investments, I guess.
Exactly. So that's on the one hand. On the other hand, I think we have to just bear in mind that in a couple of weeks we might have an announcement in the next budget about changes to entrepreneurs' relief, and there's a lot of talk that that tax relief could disappear for entrepreneurs, and it'd be interesting to see if that has an impact on M&A transactions and volumes. I have to say where we stand at the moment, certainly at our firm, transactions levels are remaining quite buoyant, so we're hopeful that will continue.
So I guess from a sort of earlier stage Insurtech management perspective, it's about keeping an eye potentially on that transaction and sort of, I guess, getting ready for it over time, not necessarily losing focus, but making sure that you do keep proper records, you've got good governance, all of those things that potentially could slow progress down at due diligence time, and just making sure that you've got the paperwork ready, I guess, is probably one of the things I would say to people if I was talking to them. But how do you see that from
definitely agree. I think any corporate transaction process, whether that's an investment round or an exit, or if you're making an acquisition, it doesn't start with the heads of terms or the term sheet. There should be, and obviously in many cases, when handled properly, there are lots of steps to take before that point in time. So as you rightly say, making sure your records are up to date, your filings at Companies House, regulatory permissions are all in place, a data room is populated, you can spend time almost anticipating the questions that your purchaser or an investor is going to ask as part of their DD, their due diligence process. So all those are steps that can be usefully made to make sure your house is in order and you are investment or exit ready.
Yeah. So I guess from what I've seen, it's relatively easy to sort of have that initial meeting of minds conversation, and then when as I call it, when the grown-ups step in and then have the non-emotional conversation about the deal, it's very easy to find things that sort of, I've just given you 5 reasons not to do this deal, or do it at a much reduced price to factor that risk in, and then all of a sudden everyone gets upset. So I think, engaging with you guys early to make sure that hopefully you've reduced the risk of those nasties popping up 2 or 3 years down the line, I think is really important.
Yeah, lawyers and also accountants and tax advisors, and just they're covering things from all of those angles.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're excited about the future for Insurtech. You're on board with Insurtech UK, you're advising Insurtech companies. What does the next couple of years look like for Browne Jacobson in Insurtech? What do you what if you could look into your crystal ball and think, I think in 2 years we'll have achieved this? What might that look like?
I think from my point of view, from an insurance sector angle, I'm really excited to see how Insurtechs can continue to assist insurers with their data and how the commercial line space can be really tapped into. I mean, commercial lines is such a broad church of a term to use in any event, but obviously a lot of the most successful startups that we've seen to date have been in the personal line space. From my own experience, working with insurers who have great levels of experience and data access, they also have legacy problems, as we're all very aware of, and just looking at how that's going to change, in addition with the FCA's recent call for input, which I know Insurtech UK is also looking at responding to on the open finance points that they're looking at. Just looking at how that data is really going to transform end user customer relationships, customer focus is going to be really interesting for me.
Fantastic. How about you, John? Looking into your crystal ball, what are you thinking?
Well, I've already mentioned exits and larger transactions. I think that's quite exciting as a corporate lawyer. Seeing the check sizes and the amount of money and the valuations rising and going in the right direction, I think, that's something I'm excited to be able to witness and hopefully continue to advise on. Also, I think what I've noted over the last 2-3 years or so has been the, I suppose, breadth of venture capital firms who are now very keen to and open to investing in the Insurtech space. I think initially it was perhaps a sector that venture capital firms were a bit wary of in terms of not being up to date or aware of sort of regulation. It's a highly regulated sector, as we all know.
Mysterious.
And yes, exactly. So perhaps one of those sectors that was perhaps a bit caused a bit of wariness, I think, for venture capital firms. But over the course of the last 2-3 years, specific venture capital firms like EOS, who do Insurtech, and all the more general ones. Are much more open to and keen to engage in the Insurtech space. And I think that's because they see opportunity in it. So I think that's the exciting part for me.
Which is on that front, we're trying as Insurtech UK to sort of remove some of that mysteriousness, if you like. And so a couple of things that we're doing, which will be rolling out on the Insurtech UK website. One is podcast interviews with the founders. So really sort of getting beneath the skin of why do they do this thing? What do they do? What are the challenges? What are they hoping to achieve? So sort of real sort of in-depth chat with the founders. And the other one with one of the other partners, Altus, is around our company snapshot. So mapping what each of the members do to the insurance value chain. So sort of you can say, oh, company X, they do that bit, and that bit, that one does this. And it really sort of trying to codify what people do so you can actually look across. And, if you are a VC with a few million to invest in the sector, then you can have a good old poke around the Insurtech UK website and actually understand who you might want to target or invest in. So that they're all things that are coming up. So thank you very much, both of you, for coming in and chatting to us today. It's been really useful. Thank you again for all of your support to Insurtech UK. We've got loads of other fireside chats on the Insurtech UK website, on our LinkedIn channel, in the comments beneath this fireside chat, and really that's it. So thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you on the next Insurtech UK fireside chat. Thank you.